Miss Kristen from the Oosterhout Free Library, and something cool happened this week. There was a solar eclipse. Now, what is a solar eclipse? Well, a solar eclipse occurs when the moon gets between Earth and the sun, and the moon casts a shadow over Earth. And this is what it looks like. This picture was taken at WNEP Channel 16 studio. It's pretty cool. And it all occurred because of a shadow. But what is a shadow and how do you make one? Well, today that's what we're going to explore with some fun shadow activities created by the Leap into Science Initiative, which is a program created by the Franklin Institute, a science museum in Philadelphia. The goals of these activities is for you to have fun exploring light and shadow and to be scientists together as a family. Now, kids, you are the scientists today. And grown-ups, you can help your scientists by exploring these activities together and asking questions. Questions like this, which I'll include in the description box below. I have a story to share with you, and you'll get to make some of your own cool shadows. But first, let's explore light and shadows together. Here I am in a dark place so that we can explore shadows together. I have a flashlight and a blank wall behind me. Maybe you have a place in your house where you can explore shadows too. So what do you see on the wall behind me? Do you see the light from my flashlight? What do you think will happen if I turn the flashlight off? It'll get pretty dark. What will happen if I turn it back on? Now we have some light again. Now, when I hold up my hand in front of my flashlight, what do you see on the wall now? Do you see the shadow behind me? So what do you think you need to have to make a shadow? What makes you think that? And what is a shadow? Well, a shadow happens when light is shining on a surface like the wall behind me, and another object, which is my hand, blocks the light. That means that the light cannot travel through my hand. So it makes the shadow appear behind me on the surface behind me. So if I move my hand like this, what happens to the shadow? How does it look different than the shadow did before, and why? With my hand is the same shape. So go ahead, take a look around. You maybe have some shadows, and you can go on a shadow hunt. Look around. Do you see any shadows? Pay close attention to what is making each shadow that you see and where the light is coming from to create the shadow. When you're done, we can share a story together all about shadows, and maybe you'll even learn how to make some of your own cool shadows. So try it out, and then we'll start our story. Shadows are everywhere, but sometimes they're hard to figure out what they are and what is making them. Shadows can make some interesting and surprising shapes, even to animals, like this baby giraffe noticing his shadow. He's not quite sure what to make of it. I'll put the link in the description box below. It's kind of cute if you want to check it out. But that brings me to the story that I have to share with you called Shadow Night. It's about a young boy who sees shadows in his room one night, and he's not quite sure what to make of it. Let's take a closer look.
Shadow Night, written and illustrated by Kay Corral, published by Dutton Children's Books. The light fell through James's window, making a square on the wall. A breeze blew the curtains, flip, flap, making shadows. To James, the shadows looked like monsters! Mama, Daddy, yelled James. Those were only curtain shadows, said Mama. James hid his face. We'll make them go away, he said. So Daddy pinned the curtains back and the monsters went away. Look, said Daddy, we can make our own shadows. We can, said James. Yes, said Mama. We can make all kinds of animals. I can make a snail, and look, here's a goose. Daddy said, I can make a bird and a dog. I can even make an alligator. Can you make an elephant? Said James. Daddy thought for a minute, and then he made an elephant. Mama and I can make us stories with these animals. So Mom and Daddy began to tell a story. Once upon a time, there were two spiders. We can scare anyone, they said. Snail came along. Slide, slide. And the spiders ran to scare him. Snail said, I'm not afraid, and popped into his shell. Bird flew by. Flap, flap. The spiders ran to scare him. You can't scare me. I will fly away, said Bird. Goose walked by. Honk, honk. The spiders ran to scare her. I will snip, snap both of you, said Goose. I'm not afraid of you. Dog walked by. Bow, wow. The spiders ran to scare him. Ha ha, bow wow. I can run faster than you, said Dog. Alligator with his big jaws walked by. Chomp, chomp. The spiders ran to scare him. Ha ha, chomp, chomp. You don't scare me. Alligator snapped his jaws, and the little spiders were scared. Help, help! Elephant was walking by and heard them. He took them on his trunk and waved them high up in the air. Now we are bigger than anyone else, even Alligator, they said. Everyone laughed and laughed. Then Daddy scooped up James and held him high. Now I'm bigger than anyone, said James. Then Daddy twirled James like an airplane and flew him into bed. Mama tucked him in, they both kissed James goodnight, and left the room. The room felt empty, and it was quiet and dark, with all but the white square on the wall. He put one finger in the light. Then he put all his fingers in the light. Then he put his head and shoulders in the light. Then James put his whole self in the light. James jumped and jumped. And each time he made a great big shadow monster. James was no longer afraid. Then, all alone in his quiet room, James said, Good night, spiders. Good night, bird. Good night, snail. Good night, goose. Honk, honk. Good night, dog. Good night, alligator. Good night, elephant. Then James slipped out of bed and closed the curtains. They blew, flip, flap. James heard them whisper, shh, as he crawled into bed. And James fell asleep, fast asleep. Shh. The end.
In the story, the young boy saw the shadows on his wall and thought it was the shadow of a monster. But it wasn't. It was just a shadow created by the light coming in from his window and the curtains blocking the light. Let's explore that and see if you can make your own. Here I am with my monster hand, and it keeps on growing. But if you look, my hand isn't moving at all. It's staying in the same place. Can you make your own shadow grow? Try it for yourself at home. Try making shadows and moving the light around and seeing if you can make your shadow bigger or smaller or darker or lighter. Does the position of the light change your shadow? Try it and find out, and maybe make your own monster hand.
In the story, the little boy and his family made up stories using their hands to make shadow puppets. They made geese and spiders and all sorts of animals. What kind of animals can you make? Take this hand shadow challenge and see if you can make these animals, like this bird, crocodile, chomp chomp, or even this dog. In the description box below, I'll include all the links you need to try making your own hand shadow animals, even a printable that you can print out. Go ahead, explore, see what animals you can make, and maybe you can even tell your own story. Have fun!
Well, I hope you had fun making your own shadows, maybe making your own shadow stories. And we'll see you next time. Bye.